But I just want to welcome everybody here tonight to the 8th webinar of HD Reach's 22 education series. We're so glad that you can be here tonight. Tonight's going to be a very special presentation where we have a panel of experts from some of the leading HD specialty clinics across the U.S. And we're very glad that our panelists will be here tonight to talk about the important topic of creating your care team. This is really important, and I'm so glad that everybody can be here tonight. We welcome any questions that anybody in our audience has. Please put them in the chat, and our panelists will be happy to answer them towards the end of their presentation. And in the meantime, I also want to say a special thank you to all of our sponsors who are making this free webinar possible. I want to say thank you to Teva, Genentech, Neurocrine, Sage, PTC, Unicure, and Wave. Now let's learn how to make a great care team. And Erica, take it away. Thanks a lot.
So much, Debbie. I'm Erica Bolofsky, and I'm going to be your moderator tonight. I'm also the community outreach specialist with HD Reach. I am so excited tonight to have our panel here today. We're going to be really diving into some really important questions and learning really about these incredible clinics and how much they can support and the different ways that they can support our HD community. So I'm going to go ahead and let each of them introduce themselves, let us know kind of where they come from, what's their facility, where it's at, and give us a little tidbit about their HD clinic. We can start with, let's see, I've got Dr. Mary in my screen right now.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me this evening. It's always great to work with HD Reach. So we are the new kids on the block. Dr. Claudia Testa and I run the Huntington's disease program at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Our main sort of guiding principle is that we really want to provide care to people where they're at when they need it. So we're going to leverage the statewide healthcare structure or system to be able to reach people at a distance from Chapel Hill, so that not everybody has to come for every single visit to us, that we can, we might have to do it once a year where we see patients, and then, they go back to their home community and we can do the rest of the work by telemedicine or telepsychiatry. So we're really excited about having the potential to reach that 50 to 70% of people who aren't engaged in tertiary care. So our team is growing. So Dr. Testa is a neurologist and has many years of experience caring for people, both at Emory University and more recently at Virginia Commonwealth. She actually was one of the people that got on the boat at Lake Maracaibo to meet the Venezuelan Huntington's community, and that's how she kind of got hooked. We have a full-time genetic counselor who works with us and will be working directly with our clients and attends our clinic. And she usually interacts with the children of HD patients, both if they're there and have questions about what they need, but also communicates with them after clinic and helps them decide what kind of care they need, where they want it, what do they need to do first, second, third, etc. We work with a neuropsychologist who has a depth of experience in deep brain dementias like Huntington's disease. So they're very different manifestations of dementia in people with HD than other dementias like Alzheimer's disease. And knowing how to test that part of the brain is sort of a unique skill set. So he's an invaluable resource to us. Within the next few months, we're going to start recruiting for our first social worker, which we're really excited about. Having someone who can sort of be the main point person for our clinic and for our program. We have Dr. Testa has a dedicated clinical trials coordinator and is actively in contracting phases with 3 trials. I can't talk about them until the contracting's done. But anyway, so we're dedicated also to research. We don't have PTOT, speech or nutrition come through our clinics just yet. But we will have direct relationships with them. And I think that at least through 2023, there's going to be an opportunity for people to have those appointments remotely as well. And Dr. Test is big on nutrition, so that's one of the things that we're going to include, as well as volunteers like you when we get all that process done. So
I am ready for it. I'm ready for it. I'm looking forward to it. That's exciting.
That's
Well, and so if somebody is going, okay, I'm just starting my HD journey, is there a contact or something that they can start with to talk to somebody that's on your care team at your clinic?
So usually requests come through the main number for the University of North Carolina Neurology Clinic at Meadowmont Road. And those phone calls are triaged and sent directly to Dr. Testa or myself. And we try and get it back in touch with somebody within 24 hours. It's really beneficial if someone would say that this is an urgent or a routine request. We can usually get people into our clinic within a month.
Wonderful.
Or sooner if it's something that can't wait. I can see them by telemedicine. So, or telepsychiatry, I guess.
Thank you, Dr. Mary. And for everyone who's watching, we have put it in the chat for that number to contact that UNC clinic to get a hold of Dr. Mary Edmondson or Dr. Testa to start services at UNC if you want to start, or just explore and experience and try to get an idea of what their care team could provide you. We're going to go ahead.
I did neglect, Erica, to mention that there are 3 different ways that we can see patients.
Okay.
One of them is we can just do like a consultation, like a second opinion kind of thing, where we make a recommendation to somebody's community provider and help them navigate how to implement a treatment plan. We're also going to do e-consults, which means a doctor from the community can just send us paperwork describing that describes their patient and their question. We won't interact with the patient, but we'll interact with their provider. And then there are people we provide ongoing care.
Okay, so these e-consults will be able to help reach those who don't have a HD clinic nearby, or not necessarily a specialist, I guess.
Correct, like either a general neurologist, a general psychiatrist, or internal medicine, or family practitioner. Someone that for whatever reason they need to keep their patient in their community, or there's travel barriers or other kinds of barriers. And really all they're asking us is this the right medication, or do you have any other suggestions? So it's what we used to call, just in the stairwell consults, but this is a little bit more formalized than that.
That's incredible. That is wonderful. I know that's going to help so many people and reach so many people in those hard to reach areas or where travel is a huge barrier. We'll go ahead and move on to Lacey, where she's from Duke, and let's hear a little bit more about Duke Clinic.
Sure. Yep. So hi, everyone. Excited to be here with you all. I am one of the clinical social workers over at Duke Health and our Duke Huntington Center of Excellence. I work there with 2 other fabulous social workers who kind of share the job as being our Huntington's Center of Excellence coordinators, but I am also within the clinic as well. So over at Duke, our Huntington's clinic is our focus that we really try to have is on an interdisciplinary approach. So we have obviously the movement disorder specialists who are specializing in Huntington's disease, and we're fortunate to have Dr. Scott and Dr. Moore on our team. And then we have social workers and as the therapists, so physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, pharmacists. We have a pharmacist 2 times a month, and think, I'm hoping I'm not forgetting anyone, but we have clinics each Friday with the exception of fifth Fridays, and we all kind of are in the clinic at the same time so that folks can come and meet with everyone that they would like to meet with all in one afternoon. And we're coordinating and working together, and each discipline is, giving their input on, what recommendations they might have, and we're kind of communicating all of the information in one visit. So that's kind of our goal, is that we can be sort of a one-stop shop for folks to come and receive care for Huntington's disease.
That's incredible. And how long would you say it would take somebody to come to your clinic and kind of receive all those services in that Friday?
So how long the appointment lasts, or how long to get in for an appointment?
The appointment typically lasts when they're already in.
Our clinics are in the afternoons on Fridays, and appointments typically start around 1, and then our latest appointments start around 2:30. Typically, I tell folks to, kind of prepare for a longer visit, especially if you're hoping to see all the different therapists, which, there are at least 3. And if you're wanting to meet with a pharmacist, and, we also want to meet with social work as well. So I would plan for at least a 2-hour visit. Sometimes it can go a little bit longer, for folks that are really eager to get it in and out for traffic reasons. We try to prioritize getting you to meet with the people that you're most interested in meeting with. But they do tend to be a little bit longer visits. Our hope, though, is that we can get it all kind of done in one place and one time, so that you're not having to, go to different places and have multiple different appointments.
That's incredible. Now I know Dr. Mary talked, I know with psychiatry and neurology, it's those are some of the core things that are just incredibly important. Do you guys also have a psychiatry department or a psychiatrist that works with the HD clinic?
So we do not have a psychiatrist specific to our Huntington's clinic. It's something that we would very much love to have, but right now we do not. We do have a psychiatry department through Duke. We have some providers that we like to refer to. And then we also have kind of a network of community providers that we're aware of, that we know have worked with some of our patients who have Huntington's. So these are people that are familiar with Huntington's, so we can refer out to psychiatrists in the community. And our neurologists are very open to consults with psychiatrists. I know they work closely with, if someone has a community psychiatrist that maybe doesn't know a whole lot about Huntington's disease, our providers are very on board with that, collaborating and working with those community providers.
That's awesome. Great. And if you guys did not know, Duke is in Durham, North Carolina. So we do have our Chapel Hill is, I believe, was about 20-minute drive. You guys about 20 minutes apart. So we've got UNC Chapel Hill, and then we have Duke, and there's some rivals in the sports department, but they're about 20 minutes apart in North Carolina. And then we're going to bring in Lisa Hale from Vanderbilt, who's going to talk a little bit about the Vanderbilt's clinic that helps a lot of our Western Coast people on the
Hi,
west
everyone.
side of North Carolina.
Thank you for your time at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. We appreciate it. My name's Lisa Hale. I'm a clinical social worker, and I support the incredible interdisciplinary team at Vanderbilt in Nashville. And let me just say, as far as the SEC goes, Vanderbilt, we are at the bottom of the heap. So we're not even going to compete in the world of Carolinas and SEC. But with that, let me share a little bit about our clinic. I have 2 incredible team members as well in our social work department. I have been there. I'm honored to be there 6 years. Our clinic actually started in 2013 with Dr. Daniel Clausen. And we have 2 other clinical social workers that work with me as well, Spencer Deal and Amy Laird. And we have a wonderful group of 4 neurologists and 1 nurse practitioner, Dr. Daniel Clausen, Catherine McDonald, Amy Brown, Dr. Eaton, and our nurse practitioner, Amy Wynn. Our clinic is every Friday, a full day every Friday, and including the 5th Friday for genetics. And we also have on-site physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, psychiatry, neuropsychiatry for neurocognitive assessments, genetic counseling, and our vision for our clinic, or our mission actually, is patient support, patient education, and patient research. Research is the right arm to us as the clinic. So we have 7 research coordinators and 7 clinical trials that we are actively recruiting for. And we also have our Vanderbilt specialty pharmacy that is with us in our clinic, co-supporting each of our visits. As Duke and as UNC has stated, we very much believe that together we work very hard to support everyone in a family impacted by HD. None of us can do it alone, but with all these disciplines, we work very hard to support all your needs.
Thank you. Now, let's say that they make this referral and they start, but there is a lack of insurance. I know sometimes when somebody is in between obtaining disability or in between jobs, there's that lack of insurance. Is that still something that should hold somebody back from getting care? How do you guys handle, how does your billing department handle that? Do you have anything that could help with that? We'll start off, Dr. Mary.
So UNC is a state of North Carolina funded organization, meaning that the state legislature every year determines a budget for UNC Health to serve underinsured or uninsured or people below the poverty line. So the state supplements us so that we can actually do that. So it's part of a mandate that we take care of anybody that shows up at our door. And the way that we manage that financially is that we have financial advisors who will meet with someone at any point during the process of their engagement with us. For example, we try and contact patients before they come to clinic to get information about them and to understand what their unique challenges are. And if financial concerns are, on the top of the list, then we'll have them talk with our financial counselors even before their first visit. And usually the type of support that they offer is, based on income. It's really a co-payment system. So, and there's some people that pay no co-payment at all. So that's how we do it.
Lacey?
Yeah, so we definitely don't want that to be a barrier for anyone trying to seek care from our clinic. So we, anytime, you might call and speak with our schedulers, and that might be your first point of contact. And if they hear, that you're concerned, or if they see that you don't have insurance, we really encourage them to connect those people to social work, so that we can try to think creatively and explore, potential options for that. Similarly, at Duke, we have a financial assistance program for people that meet certain income guidelines. And that's not just for people without insurance. It could be for people that do have insurance, but they're worried about how high the copay might be to see 4 different people, because that can certainly add up. So if you meet certain income guidelines, we can help you apply for financial assistance that can help to cover those bills. For people that might not qualify for that kind of assistance, but are still, understandably not able to afford a large bill to see all the providers, we try to think creatively. I know some research studies that people are eligible for, allow you to have one visit with a neurologist per year. So sometimes we're able to get people in through the door that way. And we try to help people. If you're looking to enroll in a new health insurance plan, we can talk you through those steps. So we try to problem solve and figure out what's going to work best.
Great. And I guess let me know a little bit about, or talk to me a little bit more if you can, about the research. You said that there is a research program that they may be able to do once a year that gets them to see that neurologist.
The one that we are doing, we're actively enrolling for right now, is the Enroll study. And it's an observational research study. And that visit with a neurologist once a year would be covered. It doesn't cover any of the therapy services, but the visit with the neurologist for that research study is covered.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Lisa?
We have an indigent fund that we have within our own Huntington's disease clinic. So anyone that calls us and cannot pay for that first visit is covered free of charge. Additionally, we also have a Vanderbilt Financial Assistance Office that we will work with as well for continuing and ongoing visits. But should there be a problem, we will continue to work and provide that assistance until, in our part of the world, Medicaid or TennCare is obtained. And we will actually work to get them on insurance so that doesn't become a barrier. Additionally, we have programs within Vanderbilt that will pay for pharmacy medications or medications that are prescribed, meeting those financial deadlines, or et cetera. And also, finally, we do the same thing that Duke does. We utilize the Enroll HD study so that we can bring that patient in on a yearly basis, and they can have that, they can be reimbursed for mileage and still have that neurological consultation at the same time. So our door is open to everyone.
So that's across the board. Everybody is saying, come in, make that call, just talk to us. Let us work with you. Let's not let financial, the finances are a huge burden on a lot of people, but let that not stop you from getting care. And that's wonderful to hear that it's across the board with all of you. Now I do want to kind of touch base a little bit about genetic testing. We tend to get quite a bit of calls about genetic testing. I know HD Reach, we have our own anonymous genetic testing program, which is a private program that we provide. Do you also have a genetic testing program at your facility? Do you offer anonymous testing? We can go a little bit more into what that is as well if you do. Dr. Mary, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. We have a genetic counselor who comes to clinic with us, every day that we meet. So there's always somebody there. And she will have her own clinic as well. So people can bypass us and go directly to a genetic counselor. We have an active debate about anonymous testing. Dr. Testa and I do, because so the concern is that if somebody goes through anonymous testing and they're positive, does that send the message that it's going to be risky to obtain healthcare if somebody has a gene expansion? And what are their rights? What are people's rights to privacy? And what are the risks of having disclosure in different systems? So, I've worked in 3 different major institutions, and the privacy and confidentiality systems that they have in place are very thorough, and it'd be pretty hard, I think, to break them. Not to saying it absolutely couldn't happen, but I think it would be unlikely. So the message we don't want to send is, oh, we're just going to send you off with your positive result, and there's nothing you can do until you're, deep into being motor manifest, which would mean there'd be 7 to 15 years that people would be without health care. and specifically that they'd be without psychiatric care because, a lot of the earliest manifestations of Huntington's disease are psychiatric symptoms. So, but we also know that that's a barrier for people. They want control over their own information, and I totally understand that. I really do. So we are flexibly trying to figure out how we're gonna do that. So, but that's a topic of active discussion.
Yes.
Our program.
So it's still, I guess, growing up in a way. It's still making decisions. But that's great that conversation is happening. And I know you mentioned with the confidentiality being very high end. Does that, if somebody is at risk or confirmed HD and it is documented in that medical record, is that going to affect long-term disability, long-term insurance?
I think anybody that, first of all, if you have manifest Huntington's disease, it's too late to go looking for that kind of insurance. And really, frankly, that people need to seek out their options before they pursue genetic testing. So they need to decide what their disability needs are and pursue obtaining that type of information. And same thing for long-term care. Now, some of those policies may ask you if you have a genetic disorder in your family. And that's up to you to decide whether or not you're going to take a risk to answer that question honestly or move to a different insurance company. Go look at a different insurance company. And I think that's real important, is to know that one company might ask you something, another company won't. So, and health insurance is a whole different ball of wax, because there's laws in place that won't allow discrimination on the basis of your disease, basically, for health insurance, like the whole pre-existing thing. So, but if you request records from us and we have seen you, and the word Huntington's disease is somewhere in your chart, and you request that we release them, they will be released. So you have to be, it's up, everybody has that right to refuse to have their records disclosed. And everybody that requests records of me, I always ask them personally, now, are you really sure this is really what you want to do? I don't know that that's what other people do, but I've always been extremely sensitive to the fears people have about inadvertent disclosure or and discrimination, because it happens.
Absolutely. Thank you. Lacey, can you tell me a little bit about Duke and your process?
Yeah, so we do provide genetic testing over at Duke. We try to follow the protocol set forward by HDSA. And so we do not have a genetic counselor on our team, but our neurologists, along with the social work team, we kind of provide that genetic counseling. So typically our process looks like you come in, we see you for the first visit. Our movement disorder specialists will do an assessment to figure out if this is looking like more of a, someone that's already having symptoms. Dr. Edmondson used the term motor manifest, or if this is someone that is not currently having symptoms, and this would be more predictive testing. And we have different processes that we follow depending on, which hat it falls into. So with predictive testing, we like to be really thorough and take our time, in social work in particular, meeting with the patient and any family to really make sure that everyone involved is understanding what this means and what the implications are, and we do a thorough mental health assessment. If they're already connected with another mental health provider, we would encourage them to work with that mental health provider around some counseling around preparing for these genetic test results. And then we would move forward with doing the genetic testing if we felt, like it was appropriate to do so. And similar steps for, if it's what we call kind of confirmatory testing. It's often we're not doing the extent to the counseling that we're doing for someone that is not having any symptoms. And I will say Duke does not provide anonymous testing. We provide confidential testing. So it is sent off to a lab at Duke and then sent back to the provider. And it does go into the Duke medical record.
So it will go under that individual's legal name, legal medical record.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So for people that are really, and we do have some people that are very interested in anonymous testing, and we would probably refer them over to HD Reach in that instance.
Thank you. And then I know you said HDSA. So for those who are watching, HDSA is the Huntington's Disease Society of America. So as that is the large national agency that does accreditations. They do a lot of different work throughout the United States, but they also accredit certain clinics depending on, I guess, the level of care that they're able to offer. And I think you do have to be spaced away. There's a certain amount of space. I think you have to be away from a certain facility. I could be wrong with that, distance-wise.
There is a rule that HDSA centers of excellence need to be X amount of miles away from each other. I do not have that exact number in my head, but you are correct.
Great. And then Lisa?
Yes, to your first question, we do have a genetic testing program, and all centers, of which we are a center as well, we must follow what Lacey said is the Huntington's Disease Society of America, or HDSA, testing protocol. We also do provide anonymous testing. And our process in our clinic is 2 meetings. That very first meeting, we encourage the person requesting testing along with a support person come in and meet one-on-one with our genetic counselor, our neurologist, and our social worker. And the goals of that meeting are, 1, to make sure that we provide the optimum in education around the genetics of HD, the implications of a negative or a positive response or result rather, and then more importantly, to make sure that they are emotionally and physically ready for that answer either way. We then consult as a team to determine if that individual is prepared and ready for the testing process. If that is the case, he or she will simply provide a blood sample, and exactly 30 days later, they will be brought into the clinic with the same team that they met the first time around, that same neurologist, genetic counselor, and social worker for the results. Also, too, we provide, if a family is looking to understand more around family planning, we have a separate genetic counseling team that can consult that family on either IVF or PGD.
Okay, thank you. And Dr. Mary and Lacey, do you guys have any other input regarding PGD, IVF, or anything, any type of specialty that, or does your clinic offer those kinds of services as far as connecting with family planning options?
Well, Dr. Testa is the division chief for neurogenetics at UNC. And I don't know all the things that they're doing, but it's certainly on my to-do list to make certain that we have obstetrical and gynecologic partners that can work with our patients who want to do assisted reproduction.
I would say that's kind of where we are. We don't have a designated person that is, designated for our Huntington's clinic, but we are in the process of trying to build some connections within the broader Duke system to get folks connected.
Wonderful. So again, just calling the number and just asking about family planning and how to start that process and the different options. You guys can also, anybody can start with HD Reach as well. And we work with all of these clinics. We work with everyone and connecting and making sure that everyone gets as much support as possible. So as you can see, all of us here on this webinar, we all work together if we can. We all are a team, and that is highlighted in just really being your care team. So whether you go to UNC, you go to Duke, you go to Vanderbilt, a care team is about not only your healthcare team, but your family support, your outside support. So as this is a medical forward care team, HD Reach, we try to help fill any other gaps, fill anything else, and help connect you to all of these wonderful people in these clinics, and people who are outside of these clinics as well that they know. So you just have to pick up the phone call and make that first call to any of these wonderful people. Now, I know, Dr. Mary, you mentioned that you do telehealth. Is there telehealth options at Duke and Vanderbilt as well?
Yep, we do offer televideo and sometimes telephone consults. We really love, for people who are coming in the first time, it's really helpful for us to see you in person, just because there are some, especially for genetic testing purposes, we would really need to do that first visit in person. But for a lot of our patients who are having kind of their twice a year routine follow-up visits, if getting there is a challenge, if you're traveling from the coast or whatever it might be, we can certainly arrange a televideo visit. And even some of our therapists can do televideo consults as well.
Lisa?
Yes, we definitely utilize telehealth as well. Like Duke, we really prefer for genetic testing for that first visit. Because it's such a very personal decision, we would very much like to see you face to face. But we realize also too that there are special circumstances, but all of our subspecialties work very hard to provide telehealth in instances where we can.
And Dr. Mary, for your telehealth services, do you have to go to the clinic for that first initial visit, similar to Duke? Depends.
A recent appropriation bill was passed in Congress that codified telemental health services, unlike telemedicine or teleneurology, which some of those benefits are going to go away when the national health emergency is over with. They've sort of codified that mental health, telepsychiatry and telemental health are going to stick around, which is really good news. Those regulations state that we have to see a person in person within 6 months of that first telehealth visit. So if we see somebody by telehealth, they don't have to come immediately we don't require people to come to that first visit. At least I don't. But as soon as it's reasonable for that person to get into clinic, and certainly within the first 6 months. And then in order to be seen afterwards, they have to be seen every 12 months in person. Teleneurology is going to be a different story going forward. And also allied professionals like PTOT and speech that, right now are covered under the emergency, health emergency rulings. And that the good news about even that is that I think that when the public health emergency is considered over, there's going to be a period of 151 days where that neurologists and genetic counselors and others can see people, until they stop saying you can't bill for that anymore. And it's really a billing deal. It's not like there's no rule that says that I can't see somebody by telehealth and come up with a treatment plan for them. I just can't bill for it. So it has nothing to do with anything but billing, really. So a lot of our phone calls, for example, we don't bill for, even though that we could if we wanted to. It's just, not really what we're doing right now. And like you guys, we would always, it's very hard to develop a really good therapeutic alliance with somebody. Unless you talk to them every week, which you won't in an HD clinic, likely. It's very hard to develop a therapeutic relationship with somebody without ever laying eyes on them. Now, I've done it before, but and for some people that's actually great, because they'd rather you not see them cry. They'd rather be in their own space. If they're going to cry their eyes out, they want to be in their own room, and I get that too. So it goes both ways about building therapeutic alliances. But I think the bottom line is that if you have a good therapeutic relationship with somebody, you're going to have better outcomes. It's a really critically important part of getting better and getting healthy, and staying healthy. So, and that, I think thinking about Huntington's disease care as being a promotion of your own health, whether it's your mental health or your physical health, I think is really important to look at what we do as encouraging healthy behaviors, actions, planning, seeking support. All that stuff those are proactive things that you can do, and in your heart and soul be a healthy person.
So somebody who is, let's say, tested positive, is not symptomatic yet, are they still able to kind of pick up the phone and call you guys and
Absolutely.
start at your clinic?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Anytime they want.
Yep.
And we also see folks who know they have a family history, are not ready for testing yet, but still want to, have an annual visit with our providers. We're happy to see those people as well.
Yep.
Now, juvenile Huntington's disease. I know that is, it's a smaller community, but it's a younger and it's a rapid disease process. I guess, do you all have specialists, or do you feel like you are able to provide services to those who have juvenile Huntington's disease, who have been diagnosed with JHD, and their families? Dr. Mary?
Well, it hasn't happened yet. A lot of times, necessity is the mother of invention. And when somebody shows up with a unique need, you have to look. And the wonderful thing about being part of global organizations and national organizations like the Huntington Study Group or the European Huntington's Disease Network, there's these people out there that really, really know what they're doing. So just like a primary care doctor would call me and say, I don't know how to treat this person's behavior, that's what I would do. I'd pick up the phone and call them and say, can you help us walk through what we need to do for this person? Because it's, I think 10% of the Huntington's population are juvenile HD kids. So it's an uncommon presentation, and I don't know that they would necessarily come to anybody but a child neurologist. Like, I think they would start with a child neurologist more than likely. But we were in Nashville a couple of weeks ago, and Katie Jackson, who runs Help for HD, she said something that was so moving. She said, there's no research for people with JHD. There's no clinics for people with JHD. like it's a forgotten population within the Huntington's community. And she's really right about that. And I'm sure she's going to do something about that too. But if at UNC, that's what I think we would do. I think that we work on a problem until it is concluded. And if it happened to be the child that had that problem, we would figure it out.
Great. Thank you. Lacey?
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with a lot of what Dr. Edmondson is saying. We have seen a few patients with JHD come through our clinics, so it is something that our providers are familiar with and are comfortable treating. So I would say, yes, absolutely, we're happy to see. We don't see, just because I think it is so rare, we don't see a lot of folks with JHD, but we have had several come through our clinic, and we're happy to work with those folks. And I think, like Dr. Edmondson was saying, our providers are going to reach out to other experts and call in those supports when they need to.
Absolutely. I think that already I'm assuming anybody who watches this video, that would just give them a little bit of reassurance and comfort, knowing that, everybody works with each other, or at least touch space with those who do know a little bit more about the JHD population or how to support, and you will do everything that you can to support them and their family. Lisa?
I agree with what's been said. We currently have a pediatric neurologist, Dr. Heather Reardon, who is sadly being recruited to the land of Kennedy Krieger in Baltimore. I'm professionally very, very happy for her, and personally very sad to see her leave. But yes, we do have an existing JHD population we have been supporting and will continue to support. We are building alliances with developmental medicine within Vanderbilt to be able to do that, and pediatric neurology as well. But I love what Mary said. I think it resonates with me. We are really a small community when you think about it. And we have everybody on speed dial. And when we have those tough cases, whether it be HD or JHD, we go to the experts, Help for HD, Dr. Martha Nance, HDO, etc., Dr. Mary. So I think we're all qualified to support the JHD or JOHD population. And sad but true, there is currently no research, but we're all fighting very, very hard, because they are, when you say underserved, they are truly the underserved community within HD.
So if you don't mind me making an additional comment about that. So you hang around in this treatment community, the providers that are sitting on the phone right now, and the many extraordinary people all over the country who take care of Huntington's families. The collaboration that's required to move research forward, treatment forward, to share ideas, to help get creative ideas about how to take care of certain kinds of patients. I'd also say that also is, what's the right way of saying this? That's what we've done in North Carolina for many, many, many years. Like Wake Forest University started Huntington's care in North Carolina, and by the time Francis Walker retired, he had 250 active patients. Dr. Scott started his practice, his Huntington's clinic, because I showed up for a residency month with him on purpose. And we got to know each other and, worked together for many years. And all three of us, Francis, Bert, and myself, we always said, there's plenty of work for everybody. We need everybody who's interested. I think Duke has their system set up, and it's been going on for, I guess that clinic was probably started, I can't remember, but it's about 10 or 15 years old. So they're a pretty greased machine. They've been doing this for a long time, just like Francis had been doing it for a long time. but everybody's got a niche. So our niche is going to be reaching people out in the distant parts of North Carolina and the people that can't get to clinic. Duke does their thing, you guys do your thing, and it's not always one great big happy family, but I think we strive very hard to be collaborative with each other, and particularly believe that a patient should go where they feel most comfortable or it makes the most sense for them to go. And at UNC, we are going to get people where they need to go, whether it's Vanderbilt or whether it's Duke or whether it's Hopkins, or if, you know, somebody's leaving the state and moving to Houston, we'll find some folks out in Houston that can help. So I think that the broader HD treatment community is very collaborative, and I think that those of us that do Huntington's work in the state of North Carolina are also very collaborative.
Thank you so much for that.
Say.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very honored to be a part of this with all of you, because I know all the work that you guys all do every single day for the community. But I wanted to kind of open up for questions. If anybody in the audience has any real questions to ask any of our panel members, you can go ahead and put that in the chat. We'll read it out loud, and they will respond accordingly. We also have in our chat, we have all the numbers that you could possibly need right now for contact for UNC Clinic, for their referral line, the Duke numbers, as they are also a well-oiled machine. They also have nice multiple numbers that you can contact for certain areas. And then Vanderbilt has their referral line to their main primary contact person. We have that all in the chat right now. So
and I would say, I know there's a ton of numbers there for Duke. And, you know, I always say social workers happy to be kind of your point person. And if we're not the people who can figure it out, then we get you to where you need to be. So If you just call us, we'll get you where you need to go.
Yep. I mean, social workers, we kind of make the world go round, right?
We try.
I'm sorry, Dr. Mary.
Yes.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. That's, you know, when I talked about the social worker we're going to hire, I said they're going to be our point person. And social workers are special people, and my God, we really need them. I'm so happy that I'm so happy to know all of you and to have had an opportunity to work with each one of you, and look forward to more great things to come.
Ditto.
Yeah. We're just going to hang out here for an extra minute and see if we get any questions. Oh, and Debbie's popping on.
Hi there.
There.
I did just want to pop in and definitely echo everything that Mary said about how wonderful social workers are and how grateful the world is. The world is a better place because you all are in it, including you, Dr. Edmondson.
Oh, thank you.
So, well, if I do just want to make a thank you to everybody who is watching tonight and everybody who will be watching in the future, because I do want to remind everyone that this webinar is being recorded, and in about a week's time, it'll be edited and up on our website at hdreach.org. And you can go there anytime, rewatch it, share the link with friends or family that you think might also be interested in learning about this topic. And also, while you're there, obviously check out the website, but you can also sign up for some of our future webinars, including we're going to be having Dr. Bonnie discussing how to talk to your family about getting HD treatment. And that'll be in November. And then in December, we're going to be having a special webinar just about talking about grief and hope during the holidays and how to take care of ourselves. So we welcome everybody to attend these webinars coming up. And I don't know, has anything come into the chat?
I have not gotten anything.
I'm seeing a lot of people saying thank you, and this is a great talk. So we can certainly hang out for another couple minutes if you guys have any other final suggestions you want to make about, how to build up that care team. And obviously you've told us all so much about why it's so important to have the right people in your life available to you and what a difference you can make in terms of living well with HD.
The other thing that we have not talked about are some of the other professionals that can be really critically helpful. And in particular, a disability specialist who can help you navigate the disability process and help you get disability the first go round and not have to hire a lawyer and then take 30% of what the government owes you. So you begin on the day that you apply for disability. From then forward, if it's approved, you get that back money, and that lawyer gets a third of it, or whatever their cost is. So HDSA has a person who does that we're working with, who's helping me come up with a good foundational draft letter, so that we can make sure people get disability quickly when they really need it. I think lawyers are necessary, and I think, lawyers can do interesting things, like they can help you with your living will, they can help you with your durable power of attorney for healthcare matters, that person who's a substituted decision maker. They can help you set up a special needs trust so that the person with Huntington's has protected money for their healthcare going forward. So there are other people outside of the healthcare team that are critically important to the health of that family. And so that your care team can be a broad number of people outside of the medical field, as well as those people inside the medical field.
And I'm going to just say that we all realize it's really hard sometimes to make that first phone call to any of our institutions. We're honored that you do call us. And as Mary has said, there are 57 centers and a bunch of independent institutions and clinics and providers, but we work tirelessly, and we only have one thing that we truly care about, and that's you, the patient, and your family. And we'd like to say that they're all within Carolina, but they may not be. But these individuals we have connections all throughout the United States. So even if your person's not there, if we don't have the answer, we'll call somebody else on this screen until we do have the answer. So don't be shy. This is our passion, and this is what we do every day, and we're here to support you.
And just to echo that, what I always emphasize with the families and patients I work with is that, we are part of your care team, and, we might have specialized knowledge in certain disciplines and approaches, but ultimately, you're the most important member of the care team, and our work is centered around you and what your goals are, and that you are the expert in your own experience. And that's, I think all of us can agree that that's where we start from, is what's important to you and how can we, help you to move towards those goals.
The other thing is that that I wanted to mention was that I'm not in the habit of ripping open Pandora's box. I think people come with a lot of fear of what that first visit is going to be like. Like, are they going to tell me that I have Huntington's when I'm not ready to hear it? Am I going to be able to look in their eyes and tell whether or not they know? And how people decide to access information about Huntington's, how they incorporate that into their life, and the way in which they choose to be cared for, is something I know each and every one of us respects somebody's right to not know, and respects somebody's right to say, I don't want to know today. And so, your consent will always be a point that your consent can change from any time, So we respect that we need to continually ask you for your consent for different parts of what we do.
Well put.
all of you. You have really summed everything up so beautifully. And I think this is the perfect note to leave on, except that I do see a question in the chat and I'm just going to read it. And I hope we can just take all those wonderful warm feelings that you just gave to us and be able to leave with them, but also provide some answers for this person. As a family member of an HD sibling, what are some of the ways we can support when they don't want to say or show that they need support, but you feel in your gut that they do need, but I just don't know how I can support?
I'm going to let the social workers in this group start on that question.
I'll take a stab. I think the first thing is to respect where that individual is at. This is something I say to a lot of my families. We walk beside you as healthcare professionals, but we truly don't know how you feel as you're walking that journey. And I think kind of having that mindset when you begin those discussions gives a layer of sensitivity. I think being honest with your feelings and saying, I love you and I care about you. When you're ready to talk about this, I am here. I'm not going to push you. I'm not going to judge you. But I want to support you when it's right for you in the journey. Let me know when you're ready for those resources. A gentle way of saying, I see where you're at, I respect where you're at, and I'm ready for you when you're ready. That would be how I would handle it.
I think that's how I would handle it too, Lisa, and making sure that that the family members know that this is a different kind of experience for you, that you might not, you might not be at risk for Huntington's, or you might be in a different situation than your loved one, but we're here to also support you as you're trying to figure out how to support your loved one. So, having these hard conversations with us too, and letting those raw emotions and feelings out, we can help you process through those emotions. Because like Lisa said, sometimes if people aren't feeling ready yet, we can't, make them feel ready. All that we can do is, like Lisa said, let them know that you're a safe person to come to if they want to talk about it and they, want to look into treatment or options, and that you're there for them when they are ready. And we can help you on the side process what that, what that means as you're coping with this too.
Mm-hmm.
I think another way of thinking about it is that you don't really need somebody's permission to care about them. You can care about them whether or not they want to accept your help or not. And so if somebody that you love has a problem, right? They have some kind of a problem. Let's say they're having problems at work, or they're having problems with their wife, or they're having problems with falls, or whatever it might be. You don't have to call that Huntington's disease. You can just say, I noticed that you're having trouble falling. Can I help? Without calling it something. Just calling it a problem. It doesn't have to necessarily be Huntington's disease. And that way you're walking the walk with them without having to say we're on an HD journey together.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's hard to do that. I think the limits of that approach are when somebody's actually unsafe, like driving, or irritability, or bad depression. I mean, it's harder to stand back and let someone come to their own conclusion about when care is needed. And, sometimes you have to diagnose somebody with Huntington's when they're not ready. And that's hard. That's really, really hard because of those safety issues. And as long as there's not safety issues, you can give people time and walk that journey with them, even if even if they don't know you're walking with them on an HD journey, you're still walking with them.
Mhm.
There's so much wisdom out there. I hope everybody takes advantage of these professionals and all of the HD specialists out there, because it really is a community that's there to support each and every member of the family. And of course, HD Reach, we're not a medical organization, but we're Erica. We're people who care, and we're here for you anytime, in any way. Anyone who needs our help, whether it's an employer or a friend, a colleague, any family members, we're here to help and support and answer any of those questions, and make sure you know how to get in touch with all of these other wonderful people out there who can make your life easier. So with that, I want to once again say thank you to all of our panel members. Once again, say thank you to all of our sponsors, and just remind everybody to take care of themselves, and have a good night.